What's up? What's up? What's going on? Welcome everyone to REI Happy Hour. What's up, Ken? How's it going, brother?
Hey, how are you? Happy Friday. Thank
Happy
goodness it's
Friday,
Friday.
man. It is Friday, finally. When we thought
Yeah,
Monday was here, it's like, man, when is Friday getting here? It is here.
yeah, that's every Monday. That's why I think, Friday's got to come sooner than later.
Oh man, but it's been an amazing week, man, for sure. I'm loving how all the investors are staying active. They're really, putting some action into these properties. So I'm loving all the great energy with the investors in this market. So that's a good thing, right?
Oh, yeah, man. I feel like I've been, it'll be a year. I'm with Campus Capital Group, September? So I'm about a month away. But I feel
Yeah,
like the last like month or so, it's definitely picked up. So it's
nice,
I feel like a
nice.
lot of people are out there trying to find properties. People are really trying to get deals done. So that's always a
Absolutely.
good thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, everyone, welcome to REI Happy Hour. Every single Friday at 5 p.m., we get together with Ken Board. We talk some topics on real estate investing, any news in the market, great experiences that we've had during the week, new programs, a little bit of everything. And so we always love to share as much as we can to the community about in the investing community to make sure that everyone also gets some good information. And I succeed in this business, as much as a lot of our investors have, as much as we have done with our investments as well. So just sharing is caring. So
Yeah,
thanks everybody
definitely.
for joining us. Please go ahead and share the live for us. Share the live to all your friends and family on your Facebook pages that you guys are participating. Make sure to share the live. Make sure everybody gets in with us at REI Happy Hour. But of course, not only do we talk about real estate, but Ken, what else do we do?
We share what we're drinking. It is called happy hour for a reason, right?
It's called Happy Hour for a reason. That's right. So let them know,
It's
Ken.
5 o'clock somewhere, and it is 5 o'clock right now.
It is. So let them know.
So I'm just drinking Diet Coke and Johnny Walker.
Oh wow, keep it pretty simple.
Black,
Splash of lime.
yeah, simple today. Simple day. Nothing crazy,
Okay.
nothing fancy. Diet Coke, so trying to watch my figure a little bit.
So doing some Diet Coke. So, that's good. Hey man, you're gonna lose some pounds today. That's a good thing.
There you go.
Splash of lime? No. A little bit?
No,
No,
no
no
lime.
splash of lime. Oh man,
No.
I got to always do it with the splash of lime. But anyway, I got something a little bit different today. From Creature's Comfort. Creature Comfort is it's a brewery here in Athens, Georgia. And so this one is it's a pale ale. It's called Automatic. Um, oh, I think I had you taste, if I'm not wrong, Tropicalia. You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember.
Same company. So,
Okay.
so I'm pretty excited to have one of these right now. So yeah, that's what we're drinking. So everyone else, please, if you're on right now with us, obviously we have a lot of people that love to join the live. Well, at that point it'll be the recorded video afterwards. But if you're not with us live, please let us know what you're drinking. What you guys have for happy hour, or what you're thinking about drinking maybe later on. We would love to know. But let's definitely talk about some great topics we have today. We're going to be talking about do's and don'ts in real estate investing. So I think that's a really great topic that we've actually had many of our clients have been asking, like if we can do a video based on the do's and don'ts. So I think this is a great time to talk about the different ways how this market, how you be able to manage it, and what the things you should know, what things you shouldn't do, things you should do, and so forth, right? But before that, I did want to share a little bit about the always what we love to do is share about networking events, right? So we just had a networking event yesterday in Atlanta. Man, Ken, this was an amazing event.
Nice.
Surprised me a lot, actually. It was a brand new location we went to. Same brewery that we always do it every single month, but a different location. And I think that was a big key of it. But, of course, we had Julio Solis from I Am Legacy and the Alice Properties Group in North Carolina. Him and his team came out. So that was a really big surprise. It was a really a big push we had, I think, because of him as well. Julio's pretty famous. Everybody wants to get an autograph from him. So um, so a lot of people were definitely there because of Julio. But you know what? I think it definitely brought a lot of the Atlanta investors in the area to come to an event, which, man, this is something that always surprises me with the Atlanta community. Many do not know what a networking event is. So they get there and they're like, so what are you guys going to talk about? I'm like, no, you're supposed to talk about. You're supposed to talk, not us. You're supposed to talk. Talk with everybody that's in here. That's the purpose of a networking event. So it's awesome to know, to get them to find out and really feel out a networking event. And I think at the end of the event, obviously everybody's a bit shy in the beginning. Everybody was a lot more comfortable and talking to everybody. Some lady, she walked in and she was very shy. She sat down as soon as she came in, and I went up to say hi to her. And the funny thing is, I actually spoke to her in the past on the phone, so it was good to see her. And then she said, "Okay, so at what time is it going to start?" I'm like, "No, it started already." I'm like, everybody walks around and just network with everyone. Try to get some connections. And after a little bit of chatting with her, somebody came and actually sat down with her to talk. Man, at the end of the event, bro, it was so funny because I look back at her. She's been walking around the whole venue with her notepad, taking people's numbers and names. I'm like, go get it. That's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
She really went networking out. Besides her going in there and not knowing what to do, right? So I think that was pretty awesome. I don't know if you ever felt that way going into a networking event. I'm pretty sure you're pretty used to networking events. But in the beginning, how'd you feel going into a networking event?
Oh, I mean, it can be tough because you don't know how to approach people. You feel like, especially if they're talking to someone else, you don't know if are you going to be like
So you
disrupting their conversation or butt in. Sometimes you don't know what to say, what questions to ask, things like that. So your mind starts going and you're almost psyching yourself out in the beginning. But like anything, it's like once you get into one conversation, usually someone else pops into that conversation, and then before you know it, an hour's gone by and you've already talked to a few people. So it becomes, the more you do it, it's like anything in life, right? The more you do it, the easier it gets, the more comfortable you get.
That's key right there. That's key right there.
It's so laid back. It's such a laid back, easy thing, and you build on great relationships. It's not like you have to get up in front of a room of like hundreds of people on a stage and like speak, right?
Exactly.
Like that's a whole different level. Like this is more laid back, so it's a lot easier. I think the value and outcome of it is sometimes even more beneficial because you're building that personal relationship, other than talking to like 100 or 200 people, where you're talking to everybody at once. Where when you have a one-on-one with someone, I feel like that's a lot more impactful. So
that's right.
I think networking is a huge thing, especially in this business.
Yeah. I agree 100%, man. And I think that's that. And I think it happens to everyone going into a networking event. You kind of go in there not knowing what to expect, and the questions, what should I ask? And that, it's normal. It's definitely normal. But the more you do it, that's it. The more you do it, you gotta go. You gotta keep continuing going to these events. It was so funny because then there's this other gentleman that he's a contractor. This guy, you can just tell he goes to networking events probably every week. He was talking to everybody. As soon as he walked in, they're butting into people's conversations, joining conversations, and I'm like, man, that's how you got to do it,
No, it is. It is, man. But it's like anything. Like I just said, I know I'm repeating myself, but it just takes time. But I mean, I think the thing is, don't expect too much of an outcome, like an immediate outcome from right away, right? The whole purpose of networking is to learn a little bit about somebody, and then to do that follow-up, to get their contact information, make sure you do that follow-up so you can move on. So don't expect too much out of something, or expectation out of a quick conversation, even if it's 10 minutes. Like, don't expect a lot, right? Just focus on that follow-up and trying to get in front of them or on the phone with them at a later time. But like anything, man, the more you do it, the easier it is.
That's it. So yeah, I was very very happy about it. And I know you've had some successful events as well too. Are you guys planning to do anything soon in Charlotte?
No, we gotta. I've been slacking a little bit. I gotta start looking for a venue. I do want to start our own meetup here in Charlotte. So I do want to start looking at venues and talking to different places. Very casual, like come have a drink if you want. You don't have to, type of thing. But it's more for just building those connections.
Yeah.
I did go to a networking group 2 weeks ago because I wasn't on the call last week, so I'm kind of 2 weeks behind. But I did go to one here in Charlotte at Sycamore Brewing. It was a great event, and I talked to so many people, investors, other realtors, wholesalers, and it's funny. This one client or almost client, we haven't done business, but I've priced out a lot for this person. She was there, and I didn't recognize her till the end, and we looked at each other's name tags. We're like, oh my god, we've talked like so many times on the phone. And she just moved from the DC area too to Charlotte, so she just got here like a month ago. But yeah, I mean, she's a experienced investor. Does all her investing in North Carolina. Has all her properties. But it's funny, like that's the thing. You end up bumping into people that you might only know by their voice or their name. But that's why it's good to get out, right? I think it just builds on that relationship.
Absolutely.
Even more.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
that's the only thing I did in the last like 2 weeks when it comes to networking. But definitely want to start to do something with our own, right? I want to create something that we run and we host. So I'm going to start looking at venues. So soon to be, hopefully.
Soon to be.
For everyone out there listening, if you're in Charlotte, we're looking to set up something, and we'll put it out once we know the details.
I think it'll be great to do like a starting up in fall, type of deal. So,
it's actually not a bad idea.
It'll be nice to have that in Charlotte as well. So yeah, man. We always love to talk about events, upcoming events, previous events, for the fact that we want to really encourage everyone to go to these events, go to these networking events. It doesn't have to be ours all the time. Does that be at Campos Capital Group one? But just any event where that people in the business are going to be there, it's very helpful. Very helpful. You get those connections. You learn about experiences, people that things that other people do, and it doesn't go too well. I actually had someone that went to our networking event about 4 months ago, and they just bought a house. Sorry, they went to the networking event 4 months ago. Then another guy went there 4 months ago. Same event, into one of our events. They met there. They both bought a property about a month ago. So
nice.
They made that connection right there at the networking event. So yeah, so definitely you never know who you can find. So we definitely encourage everyone.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we should get into the topic. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it. So do's and don'ts about real estate investing. The importance of it. Why is it so important? To look into the do's and don'ts. Well, obviously, what we're going to mention right now are just general guidelines, general top information on the do's and don'ts, because everyone's market is going to be different. Everyone's strategy is going to be different. Everyone's circumstances is going to vary. So, at least you get an idea of what is important to look into when you're always going to want to start in the business or looking for your next property, for your next project. So it's good to have these pointers. And then obviously, if you want something a little bit more tailored to you, give us a call, right? We'll be able to help you out in that aspect. So we'll start with one of my do's. Do a thorough research before making any investment decision. So one of the biggest reasons for doing that has a lot to do with knowing your market. If you are not really doing some research on your market or in the area, it could be even that actual little community you're looking into, buying a property. How is the neighborhood? How is the schools in the area? Again, say you're trying to get into a rental property. How are the schools in the area? How are how does the crime look in that city? How does crime look in that community? All of that is going to be a big factor, not only for renting the property, but selling the property too, in both cases.
Yeah.
Really in both cases. So it's really important to do your research on that market you're looking into. If you do that, then you can actually find yourself in a better position. Especially when I love when I hear clients that have like Excel sheets already set up, and they have like different details of the market they're looking into. And so each properties, like I had one client that showed me each property is listed, right? Like 4 or 5 properties looking into, and different details about the market, schools, crime, like the neighborhood. How is there any recreational or entertainment that the city provides? Stuff like that, which you would think is something real small, but actually could play a big part in somebody's decision of either buying that property or renting it, right?
Yep.
That's my first do.
Yeah, and I'll just to interject on that. Yeah. So like right from what you're saying, like obviously we could talk, do your research. So obviously you're going to be doing the basic comps, but what, like you just said, what businesses are around it? Is there a military base around it? Is there government facilities? Is there amusement parks? Whatever there might be, because that's going to attract people. So if there's that, especially if you're going to keep it long term, I mean, even selling it, like you said, but if you want to look at the long term aspect, it's going to be a lot easier to rent if you got maybe like a big hospital or medical center or government facility, military base, because guess what? They move a lot. So they might just need to rent something for 12 months and go on. So that's why they don't want to buy. So that's all the type of research you want to do. But anyway,
job demand.
Job demand. It's job demand. Right. What the economy is on jobs in that area. Yeah. What businesses do search to see if there's new businesses coming into the area. Like maybe they're not there yet. Like when I was up in on the DC area in Northern Virginia, like they were talking about it for months and how Amazon was coming in, and they were gonna over the next 10 years they're gonna have, I can't remember what it is, forgive me, but thousands of employees all making like close to 200,000 at average, that were going to be coming, that we're going to need places to live. You had Virginia Tech was building a facility right next to them for their graduate degrees and stuff like that. So it's like if you do your research and you see what's changing in the area, that can also be a huge thing. And honestly, you're going to be a step above, in front of everybody, because a lot of people might not know that's coming, and the prices might still be good, because once everyone knows that's going to hit, that's when the price and the values start to go up. So if you're doing your research and you're doing your due diligence, that can help a lot, especially if you're looking at it before it happens and the values haven't caught up yet, so to speak.
Nice. No, you know what? It's so funny that you said that right now. So I have a client that he actually, I think I've mentioned this in the past about Buc-ee's, right? You have
Buc-ee's, yeah.
So Buc-ee's sometimes pops up in the most random towns, right? Because they're not even little cities, they're like towns. So there's a reason for that. And so Buc-ee's do a lot of, again, research to where they're going to place their Buc-ee's based on future developments. And so for example, there's a Buc-ee's that was built here about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. No, maybe 2 years ago. But right now, like maybe a mile and a half away, they're building a huge Amazon, a warehouse,
like a fulfillment center.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, it's huge. And so that's what Buc-ee's do. They look at these areas. They know they do the research. They find out where potentially big companies are gonna be putting their building their warehouses, their fulfillment centers, and based off of that, that's where they're actually built years before to just be ready for when. I mean, that's doing research. Well, then again, that's why they're Buc-ee's.
Yeah, they got a lot of people working for them to do that research.
Right, exactly. But as you can see, I mean, things like that makes a big difference to your business.
Oh heck yeah!
All your investment properties.
Yeah, exactly. If you got an area where a bunch of people are moving out instead of moving in, why would you start a business there? So it's the same thing with real estate. Like it's all the same. You're a business owner. Your business is investing in real estate, either selling it or holding it. but it's a business. So you have to know if a lot of people are moving out, do you really want to invest there?
Right.
Like that's probably not a good idea. But for the longest time, we've been hearing about the Carolinas and Atlanta and Florida and Texas and how everyone's moving in. But then you look up north and you got all these people moving out of New York and Connecticut, California on the West Coast. So you got to do your research. Not saying there's not pockets. Obviously, I'm looking at the whole state, but obviously there's going to be towns and cities that are probably still doing well. But that's where your due diligence comes in, to do the research and to find out. I'm going to be in charge of the don'ts, but I'm going to skip my question because my question is just really the opposite of what we talked about. Just don't invest without understanding the local market and economic conditions. So the bottom line is don't invest unless you've done your research from everything that we just talked about, whether it's research in schools, crime, businesses coming in, what the rent, doing comps on rents and sales, and looking at different aspects of things. Just don't do it. Make sure you do your due diligence and do it. But I will skip.
That's right. That's right.
I'll skip over to don't over leverage yourself by borrowing too much money. So we're all when you're an investor, you're in this to make money, right? So you want to get a good ROI. You want to get a good rate on return. If you're selling the property, if you're holding it, you want to have a good cash flow and good money coming in. If you're borrowing too much, that could be a problem. Or maybe you have too many partners, and maybe you're getting a really small piece of that, and it might not be worth it. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at how you over leveraging. But I think the bottom line is I personally think you can over leverage if you put all your own money into one deal, because then you're stuck. You can't do anything until you either sell that property. I mean, you got to sell it, or you sit on it for years and hope it grows in value, and then you could cash out and get a portion of some of that money back. You won't get 100%, but you might be able to get 75% is the max right now. So I think, to me, that's a way to over leverage too. I don't think it's smart to put all your money in the one basket.
Correct.
And then be stuck and handicapped to be able to do anything else. So I mean, there's a lot of ways. If you have too many partners, or maybe you don't have a lot of your own liquidity, right? So you're trying to bring in JV partners. I think they're all great tools, but it's got to be a really good deal. Like, if it's already a tight deal, and then you got to pay the JV guy, and then you got to, maybe you got another partner, and you're splitting that half and half. Like, what are you bringing home yourself?
Yeah. So
really run all the numbers and make sure, you look at everything, and you're not over leveraging yourself. And I'll let you kind of fill in. There's so many ways you could talk about it.
There's one way where I see this happen. And so this is where I feel like this could be a bit of a tricky situation, where, again, you can be over leveraging yourself, borrowing just too much money. Is when you have where you have investors that call the hard money lender, call us to borrow money to purchase the property, right? And then they go to a private investor and borrow the down payment.
Mm-hmm.
You're at 100% of the purchase price. Now, could that work? Yes, it could work. But you must have a really good LTV. A really good ARV for that to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, again, if you're selling the property, okay, that could work. That could work pretty well. Not always, but it could work. But if you're keeping the property rent out, you're refinancing after you've done all the renovations to the property. The ARV has gone up. The new value now it's at there's a new value to the property now. If you refinance that at 75%, what happens when you owe the private investor now? Because you couldn't cash out all the money you needed to be able to pay out hard money and the private lender.
Yep.
So you don't want to borrow too much. Yes, it's helpful. Absolutely. It's helpful. Yeah. But, what if you're in a situation where, because the numbers are not right, or something happened in the market where your new value now decreased? What's going to happen now for you when you want to go ahead and actually refinance the property you're paying the hard money lender and half of your private money lender. Now what you gonna do?
Yep.
You still owe the guy now.
Yep. And you can look at that. You can look at that as look at on a month basis. I can't talk right now. You look at that on a month. You're pretty much paying two mortgages. So to, like, I guess you can look at it mortgages, right? You're paying the hard money and then you're paying the private. And mattering that amount, if you're, I'm just throwing out numbers, but say you're gonna, your ROI is gonna be 30 grand, and you hold on to that property for that whole 12 months, and you're paying, $3,000 a month because you're paying two people. You're not just paying one, paying through two people. What are you really gonna make once you sell that property? You're not gonna make much. So like, you got to look at that. So you definitely don't want to over leverage yourself when it comes to financing in any shape or form. I think. Again, like, it could be. There's deals out there that work good, but I mean, they got to be like really good deals.
Correct. And I think that's where it comes down to. Being able to have a good deal for it. Not every deal is going to work out that way, though. Absolutely. Well, just real quick, just gonna go through a couple people on the chat. Gamaliel Priscilla, thank you. Welcome to the REI Happy Hour. Liliana, thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. And Juan, hi mentors, happy hour. Salud, I'm still at work, but I listen to the happy hour, and the great points to keep in mind. Hard money and me putting down payment is a better situation. There you go, Juan.
Yeah.
That's it. It really is, and that's why it's sometimes it's like, why do they say that? When you have some of these videos on YouTube or some of these mentors saying with no money you can invest in your first property. I'm like, wait, what? You can't, man. I mean, you have to be like the best situation ever to be able to make that happen. Now, can you get into real estate investing without no money? Yeah, of course. There's wholesaling, there's subject to, but if you want to when you want to buy your own property for a fix and flip, you need some money, man. You need to have some money for to be able to cover yourself for payments, start the project, the down payment, the closing costs. So now, if you don't have no money, is there a way for you to try to get some money for that? Yeah, of course. Get a partner, but besides that, you need some money.
No, exactly. I agree.
All right, so let's go over another do then. I think we're already at 5:30. Look at that. We got just 2 pointers out. Let's do a couple more.
A couple more.
So do factor in outgoing maintenance and repair costs when calculating potential returns. Wow, that's a huge do. And I think a lot of the investors, when they're figuring out their numbers, they go into the most obvious numbers: down payment, closing costs, the lender fees, the real estate fees, and that's it. But at the end of the day, you need to take in consideration all your other expenses. Repair costs. When it comes to repair, of course, when you have your rehab costs, you want to make sure to not only do a thorough inspection on the property to make sure that you're calculating everything that's in it that you need to get rehabbed on the property, but not only that, you also want to make sure to go over everything. Keeping at least a 10% buffer on that rehab, so that you have some money that's going to help you out just in case some emergency pops up. Something happens in the rehab where there's a surprise. There's a crack in the foundation. We need to fix that. Surprise. There's I don't know. There's so many things that can happen. Something was wrong with the pipes, with the plumbing, that you didn't think of, right? And then, of course, the other stuff, your monthly payments, your electrical bill, your water bill. If you have an HOA due, like all of that has to come into consideration.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, at the end of your project, and I think this happens so much, man, with investors, especially the ones that start off. You start off with your first property, You know, you hear all these beautiful stories about people making $80,000, $100,000, $50,000 on their first investment. You're like, you can't wait to get that check, and your check is like $23,000. You're like, wait, what just happened? I'm like, okay, did you take in consideration all the expenses you had throughout this whole project? Right? That's again when you do your numbers from the beginning to make sure your margin is high enough. You got that really good cushion. Right? Yep. So it has a lot to do with it. Absolutely, man. I don't know if you have anything else on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know you've probably had the clients too. Like us being hard money lenders and being on the lending side of things, like we obviously go through scope of works with our clients. But how many times have we closed on a deal? They bought the property, everything's great. They got that $50,000-$60,000 scope of work. They know exactly what they're doing. And then you do your checkup call on them in like a couple weeks or a month. Say, hey, how are things going? How's the house? Oh man, I had this. You know, I didn't know that. You know, we took some of the drywall down. We figured out we had to like put new studs in, or some of the foundation we didn't see, and guess what? That's not part of the financing. Financing has already been determined. So that's going to be money that they have to bring out of pocket. So like you said, you got to be ready, you know, to have that and have that security blanket to be able to fix things that you did not see when you did your initial inspection.
Tell me how one client of mine calls me. He's like, well, I call him like I think like a month and a half in. He's like, he hasn't been wanting to call me. He knew from the beginning that he couldn't get more rehab costs. So it was more that he didn't want to tell me what was going on. Poor guy, man. He just found so many stuff in that property that he did not know of. And I feel, you feel super bad, man. I mean, like, that's not how you want your project to go. I mean, this guy even asked me, hey, how does my insurance work? What happens if I blow this place up? I'm like, I don't think that's how it works, bro.
Yeah, definitely don't say his name.
All right. I'm like, I don't think that's how it works with the insurance companies, bro. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously a little it's a loss on his pocket, but hopefully he'll gain it back once he puts it on the market. But yeah, you need to look into all of that. Calculate all those expenses for sure.
Yeah. Calculate them, and then always put a buffer in, like you said. Figure out a number and have a buffer. Have some money set aside for that rainy day, I guess you call it, but something that you did not expect to happen, or something you realized you didn't see on the initial inspection. So always have a buffer, always have that a little bit of money on the side for something that's unexpected. Definitely. Absolutely. So I'll do a don't. Which one do I want to do? So don't ignore due diligence. Thoroughly inspect properties and research their history. So the obvious one that we just got done talking about is scope of work, right? You are going to go in, you're going to inspect the property, you're going to figure out what's going to have to be done with it, what's wrong with it, what needs to be fixed, what can be better. But don't just stop there. Look at the history of the property. Go look at the tax records. Look to see if the property comes up on anything. Like, do thorough research. See what the pricing, in the years, how much has the value of that property gone up? Even check. I know we already kind of talked about this, but look at the neighborhood. What's changed in the neighborhood, is there anything coming? So you definitely want to do a deep dive into the property itself. You don't want, we see all these movies, you might want to know, even though you're going to sell the property, you might want to know if someone was murdered in the house. You might want to know that. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to do their research, especially if you're selling it, if you're flipping it and you're going to be selling it to, people that are first home buyers or whatever.
Oh, they do the research.
They're going to look at that.
Yeah, and absolutely.
That could be a deterrent.
Yeah.
So, do your research on the property in every shape or form. Look at all the tax history. Look online at all the different things. So you definitely want to do that. And obviously, the inspection is obvious, right? Do as thorough as inspection as possible. If you're not a general contractor, make sure you bring your builder / general contractor with you, who can look at all the electrical. They can look at the foundation. They can look in the attic. They can look at, look the walls. They can look at everything, the stuff that you don't see just by looking, walking through a room. They're going to look at more detailed stuff, and you definitely want to make sure that happens.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's funny you say that because we've had clients that called me and like they've told me that there's some history on this property and I didn't know of, and now people are like not wanting to buy the house. Because people look into that, especially if you're buying a house for you and your family, new neighborhood, you're wanting to start off, especially if you're a first time home buyer, they do their research.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with, and to be honest, I think that has a lot to do with how the market is now. If you would have been talking about the same thing a year ago, maybe it wouldn't even matter, because there was so much, the market was booming, and people were just buying it, even if 3 people died in the house. You know what I'm saying? As long as the house looks pretty and is what they want, they'll buy it. But now in this market, you want to make sure that you cross all your what do you say? Are your T's, right? What do you call that?
All your T's. Yeah.
Cross your T's.
Cross your T's, dot your I's.
There you go.
I don't know which one comes first. Is it dot your I's, cross your T's, or cross your T's, dot your I's? Whatever. I get it. I understand what you're trying to say.
Get the point right. But yeah, I think those are some great do's and don'ts. I mean, we would love to share some more on future shows. So if by any chance anyone, once you're listening into the show, everyone that's listening live, thank you very much for joining us. But in the future, if you watch this video again, you want us to continue with some do's and don'ts on the next episodes, feel free to hit us up. Also, if you're a professional in the business, as an investor or as a title agent or real estate agent, and would like to talk a little bit about your experiences and talk a little bit about your business with us on the show, feel free to hit Campus Capital Group on Facebook and let us know. We would love to have you. So please, don't be shy and to share some good information for the community. So that's what we always like to do. Try to share some good pointers for everyone to try to help out to grow your business in real estate investing. So I don't know, any last words, Ken?
I think we went over what we had to go over for now. Like you said, we have plenty of questions and we could keep going and going and going forever. But I like what Danny said, man. If you wanna have a conversation, reach out to us. We maybe get you on this platform as a guest. Also, if you are an experienced investor, real estate agent, you're just in real estate, and you have some good topics that you might want us to discuss, you can email me. My email is right there on the thing, Kenneth at campuscapitalgroup.com. Danny's phone number is up there, but it's just Danny at campuscapitalgroup.com, right? So, you can email us. But, we're always looking for topics. We try to have guests as much as possible to help with that. But if there's something that you want to learn more about, let us know. If there's something that you think we should talk about, let us know. If you want to come on and join us as a guest, let us know. Yeah, that's all I got.
If you want to just join us and just drink with us for happy hour, sure. Just call us. All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone for joining once again every single Friday, REI Happy Hour. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you till next week. Adios.
Peace out.
Later.
Bye.